On June 28th, Mercury will be stationed retrograde and Mars will make its ingress into the zodiac sign of Gemini. It will also be conjunct Uranus and it will square the nodes. It's a fated change to the assertive energy that's within, to the way that we chase our goals, the way that we speak as well in the sign of Gemini. A fated change to the masculine energy, to sexual desires. As the conjunction of Mars-Uranus squares the nodes, it's releasing the south node, the Virgo, which is also ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is going through a retrograde. So, Mercury is having its own issues to deal with right now. And it rules the sign that Mars is in now. So now he's roped in to this retrograde as well. But as he's squaring the nodes and releasing that south node energy of Virgo, of judgments, of the need to serve others, our habits, maybe cutting out parts of our diets or changing our lifestyle in certain ways, lifestyle choices that may impact our health, workload, and how that impacts our health. Releasing this Virgo energy and trying to incorporate the Pisces where the North Node is sitting, which is inner peace, compassion, presence, and mindfulness, living in the here and now, faith and empathy, a higher source connection, meditation and dreams. This reminds me too, meditation and dreams also aligns with the sun. The sun is conjunct Hopi, which is for ancestral wisdom, for living in harmony with yourself, the earth, and having a connection to the cycles of nature. Everything is working according to a cycle. It's about personal awakening and creativity being essential to navigate life with any sort of peace and stability. So it aligns with trying to incorporate this energy through that North Node in Pisces and releasing lifestyle choices that get in our way, maybe even a bit of self-sabotage through these lifestyle choices. Maybe they don't serve us. We're focused on serving others, but these things don't serve us. Maybe learning what they are and releasing them as Mars can sever and Uranus can detach. So they're giving a lot of help to release those Virgo tendencies. Virgo's very controlled. But it's also effective. If Virgo sees a behavior is not effective, then it can make the change. It can reason, understand that something is not effective, it's not working, it needs to be changed. Sun is also conjunct Mirzam, and Mirzam is the fixed star for the announcer. It's an artistic type of communication through music or poetry or acting. These are orators and storytellers, where Mirzam is near this 7 degrees of Cancer. It's leading through the power of word. It's transmitting news, also for new beginnings. So it's all expressing an energy here. Mars also conjunct asteroid Atlantis for discoveries. And also fixed star Alcyone, which is the energy of Moon and Mars, which is a volatile, emotional energy. It reveals what's hidden. It reveals secret things with its sharpened eyesight, foresight. It can see ahead. And also revealing secrets. It raises winds. This all shows, and Mercury also on Procyon, which is, we discussed last time, it was an aggressive energy, but someone who digs for knowledge and shares freely what is given. And It's showing also maybe a whistleblowing energy, a lot of whistleblowing in maybe many departments. Mars Uranus can also be building data centers, the construction of data centers. And Saturn and Neptune are in Aries, which is ruled by Mars, so they're also aligned with him as well. It can be cattle, cattle and the screw worm. This issue, as Saturn will be going retrograde soon. It will be going back to, by the end of the year, it will be at 7 degrees of Aries. So as it goes back, it's making this conjunction again. And right now it's still active. It's 10 degrees apart. So it's still active. And even there are some traditions that will see a sign-based conjunction, just not based on degree. So it could potentially just affect us the entire time that Saturn is here. So this year and next year. Can be the Mars Uranus can be drone weaponry. Mars weaponizes what it touches, and Uranus is technology and systems of thought. So weaponizing these for what gain? For what gain? It can also be motor nerves. Perhaps there are some technological advancements here. It can be tech advancements in surgeries. With this energy in Gemini too, it can be overwhelming information, and aggressive. Mars in this house now of sharing and communicating messages. It highlights also the Neptune in Aries, which is the film and what we see online, film and videos. Being in Aries, this is an aggressive energy, right? So we see a lot of rage baiting, a lot of things for just that's emotionally charged. These are the type of things that do well, the emotionally charged. And it's in that sign of creative potency and influence. Neptune glorifies things. So it's glorifying that Aries energy of fighting and conflict and separating ourselves, being the individual. So it can mean that we have content that's more rage baiting. Also can be racial tensions as well. We've seen that happening, separating us. It's like it's an attempt to separate, but remember what the Hopi wisdom is, that we're all one and connected with the earth. Personal awakening and creativity are essential for navigating life with peace and stability. It's trying to pull us towards union. But there's a lot here that's also chaotic. Saturn is also square trans-Neptunian objects, Hades and Kronos, and the secrets of the structure, the ruling structure, Kronos. And Hades is what's hidden, the derelict. Kronos for that ruling structure, and Hades for what is secretive, what is hidden. What is destructive? And it's square Saturn. So it may be maybe challenging. And then with Mars Uranus, there's also could be fires, unexpected, chaotic things. In the sign of Gemini, it can be a battle of words, battle of semantics. You may see a lot of that. As we're redefining Gemini with Mars Uranus, the revolutionary energy, we're redefining the words. Gemini, the communication. Maybe we're redefining certain meanings of certain words, and as we make those changes, not everyone is comfortable with how things are shifting, or they don't agree. But this is part of the process, actually. Mars Uranus wants debate. It wants a back and forth. It wants to be inspired by this. Perhaps these things do inspire us to make changes. Uranus can also intellectualize Mars, and Mars may forget that there are limits to our personal will. Sometimes things just may be beyond our capabilities. But this aspect here sees opportunity. They're courageous. They have the stamina. It's an enormous amount of courage to do something. But it may lead to something like blind stupidity about the dangers, about the risks of your actions, of your words. They may carry a lot more weight right now, your words, because especially now Mercury is retrograde over those fixed stars that act impulsively and aggressively and act from our shadow self. So, and some of the things, it's self-willed, right? And some of the things, it's interesting because it's square the nodal axis, that Virgo Pisces axis. It's wanting to be maybe choosing isolation with the North Node in Pisces, choosing isolation in order to set your own routine, set your own schedule, maybe not having to answer to another, maybe feeling free now that you don't have the obligations to serve another. So removing these things from your life. Also, I would be aware of any sort of scams, romance scams, scams that can take advantage of the loneliness. Creating code words, Mars Uranus, creating code words to avoid these situations. Now that our voices and our images can be mimicked, how can we avoid some of the problems that can come up, like code words with family members, code words with certain people, to know that, okay, it's actually you that I'm speaking to. Figuring out solutions, creative solutions, solutions of language to avoid these kind of things that Pluto and Aquarius will drudge up. Pluto and Aquarius and Neptune, both of this is deception. Using film and art to deceive as a weapon, as a weapon of deception. Valerian roots can be something that's helpful, with sometimes all of the information, it can be very overwhelming. Sometimes there are moments, where you just really need some peace and quiet and no noise at all. Valerian root can be helpful. It does help to relax, and of course check against your medications to see if there are any interactions. There are websites that you can go to cross-reference and make sure that it doesn't interact with your medications, or that you can take it, but it is something that's relaxing, that can maybe help during this time with all of the information while Mars is here. Mars will be leaving in August, so I think about Mars's higher expression, where it loves to be in Capricorn. It has boundaries, so it knows when, okay, I've reached my limit now. If I don't want to become the angry Mars, then I know when to step away and protect myself. Putting walls around your heart and your home, which reflects that the full moon as well at the end of the month in the sign of Capricorn, just putting walls around our heart and our home. Thank you for joining me. Bye.